Sup?
What is
All right.
going on?
We are live after a little bit of an extended break from the previous episode, but here we are, 8-bit Atomic Geeks, episode number 3. And yeah, as we discussed going live with this one, I said we're kind of going for swinging for the fences a little bit, pulling out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles card. A little earlier than I think I had kind of originally planned, but it just kind of fits right now with Shredder's Revenge coming out. Turtles are pretty big this week, so it just makes sense. So yeah, episode 3. Here we are. We're going to be going over the first Turtles movies, a little bit, of some other stuff, Turtles over the years. We may even talk a little bit Shredder's Revenge, since we've completed our playthroughs. Someone's on like their 5th playthrough. I've got through it once. But yeah, so we'll we might talk a little bit of Shredder's Revenge, and then just where we think the Turtles are going, and then this is going to also lead into episode 4. Where we are going to discuss the original Ninja Turtles NES game and the Shredder's Revenge game too. So we'll deep dive in episode 4.
I don't think it's coincidental that this is episode 3. The Turtles have 3 fingers. Coincidence? I think not.
I don't know.
That is learned. That's where I learned and how I learned to do this.
To imitate being a turtle?
Yes. And I've been able to do this since elementary school. Just so easily. Just right?
Pop. Well, for me, it's more of, Spock, live long and prosper. So
no, for me, Turtles before Star Trek for me. So this is what it was. We started off doing this.
Right, just tuck the other 2 fingers in.
But then we moved to this. And so yeah, we Ninja Turtles Club, elementary school, right? I was Leonardo, and then we of course had someone who was Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, and it just kind of spread from there. Each person in our crew or in my class was a different turtle character, whether they knew it or not. But
unwilling participants.
Unwilling participants, yeah. I even remember being able to, in 3rd grade, being able to bring the VHS tapes into class, and our teacher at the time let us watch it.
Nice.
So, I mean...
That was near the end of the school year, right? Yeah.
I don't really recall when, but count your blessings.
Back when you could bring something that was uneducational into school for, a good party day.
Right? Can't do that anymore.
No, you really can't.
One thing I don't think they would allow us to bring would have been the Ninja Turtles movie.
Not the original. No, not the original. Not now. Of course, yeah, I don't know. I mean, back then the original was considered a little bit dark and extreme, and and that's a conversation for what led into the sequel. But nowadays with modern comic book movies, I don't know that the original Turtles is that extreme, really.
I don't either. I mean, at the time, yeah, sure, it was seen that way. Violence. The Turtles actually bruised.
Mm-hmm.
You could see. I don't know how they did it on the costumes, maybe makeup, whatever the case may be. But Raphael, when he got his tail whipped, you could see him bruised and what have you. So yeah. There was cussing.
Holy shit, Raphael said damn.
He said damn. And it echoed all through New York.
Oh gosh, yeah. There was no greater moment of shock than that.
I think my mom was like in the theater like
yeah.
Of course, we went and saw it together. So
we did. Yeah.
You, myself, both our moms, and I. It's just whoa.
You're just sitting there. Where did that come from?
We're like, this is awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So let's go ahead and get poured here. Get ready.
A Mountain Dew?
No, not a Mountain Dew.
Oh, okay.
Tonight is Four Roses single barrel Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Going a little bit fancier tonight. You know, it's my birthday week. Treat myself just a little bit. So
There we go. There we go. Happy belated birthday, by the way, and of course, happy upcoming Father's Day.
yes, thank you, thank
You
you.
get to partake in that now,
Yeah, big weekend for me. It's
right?
I just catch them all this month.
Gotta love it.
So yeah, all right. We will let's get this started. You know, that's a pretty long intro. So I'll go. That's pretty good. So um yeah, so you know the original 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Um the hype going into this for me, you know, and both of us. I don't know about you. I was unaware of a comic. I really was. It was just cartoon, and I think that was a big hook for a lot of kids back then. Was just the cartoon, the original cartoon. So you know, my expectation going in was the cartoon.
Right.
You know, and the trailers. You know, you really wouldn't have deduced that much otherwise. Yeah, it was a little bit darker from the trailers, but you know, going into this, you know, I had this mindset of you know, it's live action of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of like He-Man was live action for us with when it came out. We didn't care. It was live action.
oh
Whatever,
yeah,
whatever the source material was. I mean, it's taking something that we've only seen animated and making it real,
yeah,
so to speak. And
it brought
I
it.
do recall that there was a comic. I do actually remember that myself. And the
Okay,
thing is it was like maybe a year or two before the Turtles got really big mainstream. You had the animated cartoon that was, goofy and comical and what have you, and nowhere near what the comics actually were. But I remember seeing it on like store shelves. This black and white comic of these drawn turtles in the art style that they had. Yeah,
oh that glare. Yeah, there we go.
big glare, right? But I recall seeing that, but it wasn't in color. Of course, that may be a Mandela effect. I don't know. Um, but at the time, being the age I was like, you got to read that. And then I wasn't interested. But then when they put it in a cartoon and sold
It was
toys,
different. Well, and you know, and I this tangent number one. You hit on something that I feel, and I'm getting political here, was a failure of our education system. We didn't. I didn't. They did nothing to make me want to read because I was given stuff. I didn't. It didn't interest me.
it's true.
I mean, you know, we're given all this stuff. You got to read this. You got to read this. You got to read this. Um, I don't know if it was just our little community and the selection just wasn't there. But I've always argued, had our libraries, had Lord of the Rings, I'd have probably been a better reader. Because what little fantasy we had, and we did not, to my knowledge, and I never found it. We never had a copy of Lord of the Rings, and I'm using that as an example. In our libraries,
Right.
and I didn't have anything that fueled me that made me want to read. When the best we had was Babysitter's Club, and
Choose your own adventure books.
choose your own adventure books. And it's like there was stuff out there I would have read. It just they didn't do enough to entertain our interest. And I'll get off that soapbox now, but and I've said that for years because I was like you. I don't want to read.
Ugh. The only thing I read was video game manuals.
Yeah, because it interested me. It interested us.
I wanted to know about the game.
Yeah. So, and I did eventually start getting a few comics later on, and they were the comics based on the cartoon. But yeah, going into it, and I collected, that's one of the collected volumes of the black and white. I think I've got all of them. They may have actually released another, but it was one of those coming back later. I want to go to this source material. I really want to read it. And the artwork, to Eastman and Laird's credit, I feel like really holds up, because I've tried to go back and read like some older Marvel stuff. And I don't know if it's just the age. I don't know. It's very hard for me to get into. I don't know if it's just the style at the time. But I don't know. I can pick up the old black and white Ninja Turtles stuff and just eat it up still.
Of course, that might be the difference between a well-established comic company and one that really wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to do this from memory. Wasn't it Mirage Comics
that
had Ninja Turtles? So yeah.
Well, and I'm going off of memory now. I think a little bit. I think they chose Mirage because it didn't exist. They didn't really have a comic company, so they put that name on it. If I remember right from the documentary I watched about how they created the Turtles and that initial success. So,
but now they can do what they want. Now they can put whatever in there and do what they would like, and not have to worry about any of this red tape or anything of a big comic company. And hey, I mean, it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
And so eventually the comic picked up enough steam that they said, you know what? Let's make some toys and make an animated series. And off it went.
And there we go. And we were, like I said, I just remember, I think the cartoon come first, because we had our Saturday morning, weekday afternoon routine, and there was the cartoon, and it just blew my mind. I mean, we were that prime age that it's something about it, ninjas, mutants, the art style. I mean, you just threw all that in there, and holy crap. It just, our imaginations just went nuts.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the toys. And yeah, so going into the first movie, there's a little bit of this expectation of, I don't know, it's just live action cartoon, they darkened it up a little bit. No big deal.
We were, I think, at the time, I don't know if we really knew what to expect, or if we were expecting anything other than it's Ninja freaking Turtles.
Right.
But I think maybe parents at the time would have been expecting cartoon.
Damn!
So, and the thing, he dropped that word. I think it was the first word one of them actually said. Because they went in, they saved April. You seen they threw the sai. Raphael threw his sai, took out the light. You hear the dude, or whatever it was he said. Probably the second word. She finds the sai. He's peeking through the manhole cover, and he's like, "Damn."
No, hang on. Actually, because I had the similar thought, and it was a recent watch. I think it's actually, he goes, "Oh man."
Is it?
Because I thought the dam was there too.
Okay.
But,
so
yeah, we open up and we have this, she does her report on the foot, pisses off the mayor, pisses off the shredder, obviously. And, the turtles, she's getting jumped by the Foot Clan in the alley. The turtles save her.
Find her. Silence her.
But it's that, I'm pretty sure it was, oh man, but I don't know, the Mandela effect, like you said, I at one point thought it was damn too at that point.
Don't you love how the memory gets fuzzy like that?
Yeah.
But I do know he shouted it long enough or loud enough for all of New York to hear after he was trounced by Casey Jones there.
And so yeah, so the movie opens up, and I love the opening to it, and I will say, not only with Turtles but several other movies, Ghostbusters is going to be a big one for me. But it's the character of New York City. So many movies from that era, and I think it's why I have such a love of New York City, at least the way New York City used to be. I don't know that I will be revisiting that town anytime soon again. I don't know everything I hear. But and I've been several times, but it's the character. New York City is a character. And depending on how you frame your movie, New York is just as important, for establishing and setting what you're doing. It works so well for Ghostbusters. Ninja Turtles is the same way.
Spider-Man.
I mean, Spider-Man, the Marvel stuff, it's home to most of the superheroes. If it's framed in the real world. So I love the opening shots of New York City, with this movie. You get that feel. Again, kind of playing a little bit of politics at the time. You're getting the New York City of that time.
Yeah.
New York at that point in time, they were just on that edge of like coming out of the shit. I mean, New York City had a reputation at that time, and boy, the movie played on it.
It's true.
It wasn't just the foot. I mean, New York really, it had a reputation before it got cleaned up. In later years.
I mean, they chose it for a reason, and the Ninja Turtles highlighted, I guess. I don't want to say highlighted. It sounds like a horrible word for this, but the crime that can happen. Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 highlighted the, I guess, the stereotypical attitude of a New Yorker.
Right. It's every New Yorker's God-given right.
Right. And so, I mean, each one of those movies, they weren't only set in New York. It's like you're saying, it's New York itself was a character. You didn't have just Leonardo, Donnie, Mikey, Raph, April, Splinter, Shredder. You had New York as well. It itself is a character.
And I don't mean to pick on New York City. I really don't, because I do. I love New York City. And we do talk about the New York City at the time. And the last couple of times I was in New York, New Yorkers were awesome. I mean, everybody was nice. So I'm not picking on New Yorkers, but you do have your own style. And I respect that. But yeah, New York City at that time was, as my memory, our memories is, and I think history would even say was kind of a, whew.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie hit on it. You see all this crime, the crime wave. April gets jumped. The turtles save her.
And then
and then we go into that opening, and I just remember losing my mind with that opening, because you don't really get to see the turtles when they save her, and then they all hop out, and it's just like they're so real, and it's costuming and puppetry to this day that still holds.
Yeah, props to Jim Henson Company.
Absolutely.
On the work that they did.
I feel like that costume work has aged incredibly well. Far better than obvious later CG attempts. Sorry, Michael Bay. Not really.
You want to talk about horrible CG? Just think of Scorpion King. Well, no, it was what was it in one of the last Mummies, wasn't it? Where the Scorpion King appears as a CG. It's a CG rock as a scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was horrible. That was bad CG.
Yeah.
But Turtles, what the hell is CG?
Yeah. They hop out in those suits. And they're just, every turtle is exactly who I expected them to be. They were true to their characters, and you get that feeling right off the bat. You get that introduction. They all come in, Leo, he's excited at first, and he calms himself. He's the stoic. He's the leader.
Yep.
Mikey's Mikey, happy. And throughout the years, I feel like Mikey's the one they've always been able to nail. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen Mikey wrong.
He is the innocent, young, naive, happy-go-lucky characterization. He just like and watching the 2012 series, they nailed him good on it too. Just trusting, doesn't quite get the joke or quite get what's going on. Just laid back, right? And with Donatello, and we're going to save the characterization for Raph for last. With Donatello, he was the one who wasn't with it, like with the times. The one that was, what's the words I'm looking for? Stuck out like a sore thumb when it came to the in crowd, or what was considered the it thing.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't quite get his wording right. Couldn't quite find the bodacious words that they were using. He just wasn't in the know, right? Kind of reminds me of me all through school. And I think one thing, even as a kid, that I kind of thought they were going to leave out when it came to Donatello was his ability to work with machines and do science and things of that effect. It didn't really highlight it all that much.
No.
Except when he was working on that vehicle on the farm with Casey. And Raphael, he is just the rage monster. He is just attitude, anger. My words are escaping me right now, but he's.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and like with Donatello, and I guess really to look at them all as a whole, I think Donatello probably was the weakest in that movie, in this movie, because really the truck scene was probably the one that highlighted, that the intellect side of him.
Yeah.
But they didn't really do a whole lot else with that. But that was also kind of a little bit of a later development. I was skimming, the original black and whites before we started this, and that was, he really wasn't there with him then. So that might have just been a product of kind of that a little bit of a later addition development for him to help distinguish them, maybe. But yeah, I would say Donnie was probably the weakest, because of that, and maybe that's just that expectation. Again, we go in expecting, a little closer to the cartoon.
Yeah. But they did show his intellect, because the words he was trying to use at the beginning, I don't recall what they were exactly, but they were overly complicated, highfalutin, fancy words.
You see him, he's thinking. Yeah. And it's, gosh, when that logo slapped on the screen and the soundtrack, this movie had a great soundtrack, and just when that popped, you were in it.
You were.
And you get into they have their chat with Splinter, their first night out.
Were you seen?
Yeah. So then we get on to to April, getting chewed, and you get a little bit of the story with her boss and his son. And I guess I don't know. I guess maybe that's probably been one of my least favorite parts of this movie, was the angle with her boss and his son.
Right.
I mean, I get later that there is the payoff with it. But I don't know. I guess as a kid, it was just like I only care about the turtles. Give me the turtles. I don't.
Who's Danny? Where's this Danny coming from? Who gives a shit about Danny?
Well, and I think some of that goes back to that cartoon expectation. Because at the same time, who's this Danny? Who's this boss? Where was Vernon?
Where's Vernon? There's no Vernon.
Obnoxious, annoying Vernon. Yeah. But Shredder is like, I ain't gonna be silenced. Sends the guys a jumper in the subway. Of course, Raph saves her.
Yep. All on his own.
All on his own.
And the whole reason he's telling her is he wants that one thing that she has his.
He couldn't let it go.
He couldn't let that sigh go. No matter how many times Splinter said, let it go, it's gone. He couldn't do it. And, in true Raph style, it's a good thing he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a build up, it's a payoff. And, I'm trying to think of the line when he's trying to explain himself to Splinter.
I would redecorate a little bit, a couple of throw rugs, reporter. What do you think?
His response, yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it and just see that scene. And he's just, for all of his hot-headedness, he's trying his best to like any kid, when busted, trying to backtalk his way out of the situation. Yeah, I love that. And then, then of course April wakes up and, is just totally lost. We get the whole, introduction.
And the backstory.
The backstory.
And it goes into their origin, and it was an origin that you and I were not familiar with.
No, a little bit different.
So, I mean, we were used to the cartoon origin. The cartoon origin was Hamato Yoshi and Uruku Saki were both, they were rivals. That stayed true. But Splinter was Hamato Yoshi in the cartoon. Splinter wasn't a pet rat of Hamato Yoshi's like he was in the movie. And so the mutagen, because Hamato Yoshi's last contact was with a rat in New York, the mutagen turned him into the rat, and then the turtles, their last contact was a human, so it turned them into humanoids.
Right.
As opposed to this mutagen just making a rat enlarge and get intelligence.
Right. Yeah, it was a different, and this I guess is where we start to peel back the whole, over the years there have been numerous variations of the Splinter angle, especially, and whether he was just the rat or Hamato Yoshi, and as you're seeing now in the, because you're going through the 2012 series, we're back to the other one.
Right.
So
it goes back and forth and flips back and forth to the point where I actually lost what the original was. The one in the comics that started it all. What was the original origin?
Huh.
And I'm leaning towards that he was the pet rat in the comic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm leaning toward.
Because I just looked at it. Hang on, let me pull it over here. Because I literally just looked at it. And let's see here. And we can keep talking. I'm just.
And of course, while you're looking at that, I mean, we're looking at the different. And I'm going to go off on another tangent. Tangent number 2. Regardless of which one of those origins, both of those origins are way better origins than what Michael Bay wanted to originally do in his Ninja Turtles versions.
Okay, yeah, he would, and I knew this. It was one of those things. I hate to say it without 100%. I like to be not necessarily 100%, but pretty close before I actually say it. And then, if I was wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No big deal. I just hate to have to go through the whole process of backpedaling. But
Right.
yes, no, he was indeed the pet rat. So
yeah,
I was a young rat, a pet bought and cared for by my beloved master Hamato Yoshi. My cage was kept in his dojo, and I watched his daily practice. It amused him to see me mimic his movements. But it was more than mere mimicry. Slowly, I learned his art, the mysterious martial art of ninjutsu. I could not have had a better teacher, for it was said that Hamato Yoshi was the greatest shadow warrior of his clan. So, yeah.
As a rat. So even as a pet rat to learn ninjutsu, you had to be one damn intelligent rat.
Pretty badass rat.
That's a badass rat. Especially to give a Rokosaki a nice little scar there.
Yeah. So, and then actually, of course, at the end of that first issue, the Turtles, who compared to towards the end of the movie, they all get their ass handed to them by Shredder.
Yeah.
They whoop at the end of this issue. That issue, they whoop Shredder pretty good, and it's just funny because they actually say we've avenged our master's master.
Master's master.
Yeah. So so they went with that, which was vastly different for us, who had only been exposed to the cartoon at the time. And
another difference is on that is that Shredder in the movie a lot more serious, a lot more dark, a lot more sinister.
Oh God, I love the movie Shredder so much.
Yeah, as opposed to our goofy Uncle Phil Shredder.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
We lost a treasure when we lost that man. I'm sorry.
We did. Yeah, for those who don't know, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince voiced the Shredder in the 1980s Ninja Turtles cartoons. So there's your Voice Geek tidbit for the day.
And I know we're going on, we just tangent. That's all there is to it. If you're watching this, just get ready for tangents. I don't know what it was about cartoons at the time that just couldn't make a villain too sinister.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shredder, Megatron was the only one.
He was.
Cobra Commander, Shredder. I take that back. Mum-Ra.
True.
Mum-Ra was pretty dang wicked.
It's very true.
But other than that, Skeletor, Shredder.
I'm surrounded by boobs.
Yeah, Cobra Commander. They were just, but then you look at other media, and these guys were, comics. Cobra Commander is vicious.
Mm-hmm.
No mercy. But yeah, it's just like growing up, I love the villain. I mean, I love the heroes. But I was always a sucker for a good villain too. It just added to the fun. And I loved Movie Shredder. And
Movie Shredder was definitely a good villain. And the thing is you really didn't get to see him do much action. Not until there at the end where he took all 4 turtles on.
Mm-hmm.
And it just showed what he was capable of at the time.
Which is, as you'll see as you get further in the 2012 series, that's the Shredder you're gonna get.
Well, I mean, already the Shredder, the 2012 series, I can already tell is not to be trifled with.
Yeah, I mean, point blank, it pretty well takes the whole series for the Turtles to get him.
And his voice.
And every encounter they have with him is not good. And that's I love the 2012 Shredder. Well, and I love the early 2000s Shredder. As much as I'm not, the early 2000s one is good for being dark. But I don't care for Ultron Shredder. I'm not going to lie. I don't care for that particular flavor of Shredder, as sinister as he is.
That look is just, So Ultron Shredder, I think, fits.
Yeah, from the early 2000s one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. But yeah, back to movie Shredder. Yeah, the way he lays waste to the turtles at the end. And it's and you'll see, kind of it's very similar. His hatred, his raw anger is what is it's his undoing.
It was his
As if
undoing.
he just remained calm, but he lost his shit against Splinter.
Yep.
And yeah.
Now I will finish what I began with your ear. And then he just runs at him with the spear.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little weak. I don't know, but I don't. I'm going to go with the rage angle.
Yeah.
And it's something that Shredder has not been. He's fell for that before in multiple media. Being blinded by his rage.
Fighting the four turtles, he does all this badass ninja-ry. Fighting a rat, he loses his shit and just runs at him.
That rat pissed him off.
That's one influential rat, let me tell you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we get that intro. The turtles eventually escort April home, and then that's when Danny catches the turtle hiding.
Mm-hmm.
There's the argument, and then he raises his hand when he goes to the foot.
Yep. Shows them where they're at.
Yeah. Danny's a little rat.
Of course, the thing is during that time frame, you had the blow up between Leonardo and Raphael.
Mm-hmm.
And so Raph goes off on his own, the loner that he is, and gets pretty much ganged up by a platoon of foot soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, it took like all of the foot.
I mean, come on. How do you guys expect to beat me? And they good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. Yeah, and they had their argument. Of course, that's after they've gone back, and they've now had to they've had to seek shelter at April's because after they've taken April back, and then they stay there for a little bit, and then Danny reports them, and then by the time they get back to their place, maybe I'm getting out of order here. Hang on.
Yeah, I think what it was is they save April. They do the origin story. They take her back home.
They take her home, but the one foot soldier followed Raph after Raph saved her.
Right.
My bad. See, I don't care to admit my goof, but I just hate having to waste time to go back and correct it. But
that foot soldier goes back, tells them where the hideout is, and while they're gone, they ravage the hideout and take Splinter.
Yeah.
They come back home to find it just in shambles, Splinter gone, so they return to April.
Yes.
And it's there that Leo and Raph have their little
fallout.
Their little fallout. Now, while they're there, of course, Danny and April's boss visit for whatever reason. They talk about Danny's troubled youth and the trouble he's getting into, and he catches a glimpse, I think, of Michelangelo.
Yeah.
I think it's in the shower, where he's hiding in the shower in the tub.
Yeah, he catches that quick glimpse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when then after they leave, that's when he goes back to Shredder and raises his hand like, hey.
Yep.
If you see something, say something.
It sounds like some of our Secret City Manhattan Project. See something, say something.
Yeah. And kind of, that's one thing about this movie that, I've really liked, or I really liked was, the interactions between the turtles. I mean, they obviously, Raph and Leo, they have their argument, their big fight.
Right. Pork rind. But
all the little character moments between them. You go back and you look at and one of probably I don't know, it's there's hardly a month that goes by that I don't quote this scene. But when Donnie and Mikey are waiting for the pizza,
Yes.
you know, I just, you know, that little moment, and it's funny, you know, when they get to that point, but you know, they're sitting there, they're just, I don't know, there's just so many little moments that slow down and make these guys, you know, make you believe, you know, that there's this giant, you know, these giant mutant turtles
Living under New York.
living under New York. Yeah. Yeah, which in some of my research, oddly enough, I didn't realize this. And I always kind of thought that some of the streets and places where they were looked awfully skimpy for New York.
Yeah.
They filmed it in like North Carolina. Like it was only like a bunch of exterior shots and flybys and stuff that they did for New York City, but I think most of this was filmed in North Carolina.
And there I was thinking that fight between Casey and Raphael happened in Central Park.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean total just like, wait, what? Yeah, North Carolina. And it's where most of the rooftop sets were created, and but yeah. Well, and there's another scene. You know, we kind of, and that's a brief. You know, really, you think about it's brief, but it's enough to set up Casey. You know, that early. You know, Raph got pissed early on in the movie. He goes, "I'm going to go see a movie." You know, and he's got his great disguise.
What was the movie? Creatures or
Yes, it was no Critters. It was a Critters movie.
That's it.
And he comes out. Ugh.
Where do they come up with this stuff?
And I'm trying to think, was it? I can't remember if it was the original Critters 2.
I want to think it was 3.
So at that point, yeah, it probably was like, oh my gosh, what you know? I mean, we hadn't sent the Critters to space yet, but where all franchises go to die,
space, like Jason X.
Admittedly, Jason X is kind of some good fun. For being over the top for Friday the 13th.
So Critters 3 is a 1991 movie. Turtles is a 1990 movie. It came out March 30th, 1990. Critters 3 came out December 11th, 1991. So it's almost 2 years between the two.
I'm looking at a GIF here. I can't see the whole banner.
So maybe it was 2. Of course, 2 came out in 88.
That'd been an awfully long theatrical run, especially for something like Critters. Of course, now it could have been one of those little theaters that just this is just what we happen to be showing. I'm looking at a couple GIFs of the scene right now, and I can't see. It almost looks like it's just Critters. Hang on, I've got a poster. The internet will not lie. Images. It was the first Critters.
And it was in 86.
So maybe they were just, showing some really bad movies at that little theater that Raph happened to find.
Maybe the movie was set in 86.
Well, actually, that's probably a good theory. Because they never really say when the movie takes place. You just kind of run with the, the idea that because it came out in 1990, it was New York 1990. But actually, that makes a lot of sense that the movie would take place in 86.
So there we go.
Okay, interesting. We have uncovered the mysteries of something.
We've either uncovered it or discovered it or made it up. Take your pick.
Yeah. Yeah, but so then he sees the muggers and he's like, "Hey, I want to do a good deed," and then here comes Casey and they have their little argument over the particulars of dispensing vigilante justice.
Right. I think Raph actually was showing restraint, saying, "Whoa, they've had enough."
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of Raph. He's holding back for once.
And Casey's like, I'm going to beat him to a pulp. And so that's what got the two of them in their little thing. Cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
Yeah, exactly.
Pow.
But and that's another one that I think worked so well for this movie. I mean, all the relationships in this movie were so. I mean, even whether you watch the cartoon or the comic, they were right. They were still core to what the characters were. I mean, yeah, I love their banter. And honestly, Casey was not one I expected to see in this movie.
Right, me neither. And I honestly, when he showed up and he had that hockey mask, and I was like, ah,
Yeah.
it's a Jose Canseco bet.
Tell me you didn't pay money for this.
And what's sad, folks, is I know I didn't watch the movie before this. I haven't watched it in a long time.
But most of these lines just stuck with me over the years, and I don't know if it's because as kids we wore out the VHSs and all that. Rewatching this, I mean, Ghostbusters is the exact same way with me. I remember probably more Ghostbusters quotes than I do Turtles, but there's hardly a day that goes by that I don't find some way, whether I quote it or just think it, think about a Turtles line. And like I said, always with the pizza,
right.
Numerous times, I've been in the office and, if we, for whatever reason, was ordering pizza or something, it's a little bit behind, I'm like, pizza dude's got 30 seconds. And then I do the whole forgiveness. Wise men say forgiveness is
time's up.
Yeah. Never pay full price for late pizza. Yeah. But yeah, just full of moments like that.
This is a 10. The tab's 13. You're 3 minutes late, dude.
I couldn't find the place. Yeah. I just don't quote movies like this anymore. And I don't know if it's because as a kid, I wore the VHS out and just watched the shit out of this stuff, because I had time and I didn't have responsibilities and all this other stuff. But I don't know. I don't feel like they write dialogue like this anymore. As simple as it is. I mean, nothing here is Shakespearean by any stretch, but
right.
The moments just stuck with you. And especially as we get later on into the movie, the farmhouse scenes are just, I just love the quiet, reflection, the bonding time. I love the farmhouse part of the movie, and I know it's a big pump on the brakes.
It is
after the mid part of the movie. Action.
I was just sitting there thinking that. I mean, it's like, the movie kicks off and it's like go, 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 farm scene. And it's like you hit the air brake.
Right.
And it just slows down tremendously. And you're right. There's that point where they can actually, they have character development. They have character bonding.
And if they made that today, they'd have just, I don't know. They'd have stopped by the farm for 5 minutes. And then turned back around, went to the city, and just, I don't know. It's a lost art, I think. Having those moments, having those little, and I don't know, maybe I think writers these days don't know how to write moments like that. But no, I love the farmhouse portion of the movie. Yeah, and we basically got to that point. Raph and Leo, they have their fight. The foot soldiers gang up on the turtles. They invade April's apartment. A fellow chucker.
Hey,
we get to that part, and I love that whole fight in April's apartment.
Keep practicing.
Yeah, and they're all using their weapons, which is a point of contention with the second movie.
Yeah,
And maybe we'll get into that towards the end of the video. But
nunchucks? No, try sausages.
gosh. Yeah. So hey, we have Corn Rump. He's in here watching. So
what up?
Shout out to Corn Rump. You know, thanks for tuning in. So
I turned it off because, unfortunately, what I would say would then echo into my headphones again. Like
I had a little bit of that issue too. So
yeah.
nah, it's all good. But yeah, you have the fight at the apartment. They April gets fired. Casey Casey does his bit. There's just and I know I'm getting again ahead, but I just even up to this point, I just don't feel like there's a wasted scene in this movie.
Hey, you just saved yourself a trip. You're fired.
You're fired. They hop in the truck and they drive off in New York City, North Carolina. Right. It's gonna be hard not to think of North Carolina now when you watch those scenes now and you realize, that was very much fake New York. And I've always felt like those parts of New York, because having been to New York City, I'm like, where is that in New York? Because that skyline is awfully like shrunk down, like it's subdued.
The Bronx.
Yeah, I don't know. Even the Bronx, I think, has a higher skyline than what you see in that part. I don't know. But yeah, so then they run off to the farmland, to April's farm. I'm assuming in upstate New York. I don't know. It's close enough. I don't know. It could be Connecticut. Who knows? And that's the thing too. After reading a good portion of the early black and white issues, there's a lot of beats that they took from that. They maybe twisted it or changed things up a little bit here and there. But it was, it wasn't like changes just for the sake of changes. I wouldn't say maybe they're better or worse, but they were still respectful, and I don't mind. It doesn't have to be 100% to the source material, but, because actually in the comics, it's Leo that's got his butt whooped and is in the tub. If I remember right, it's been a few years since I've read the black and white. I read them on a plane. But yeah, it's Leo that's actually had his butt whooped and is in the tub waiting for recovery. Yeah. But in the comics, they go again to upstate New York or wherever this farmhouse is. And then you have all these great character moments and the Casey and Donnie one, the April and Casey fight.
Yep. And the whole the cherry on top of that fight when it goes into the swing and that one side just
crashes. It is Raphael in the movie. Raphael's the one that is whooped up on and
has a tub for a bed for a while.
And Leo watches over him in the movie. They hit the brothers angle so well with this movie, and that that bond, between them, because they've had this fight, and any, I mean, and even if it's not brothers, any family, it's kind of like that whole, like, I can pick on my family, but by God, if anybody else, whoa, no,
yeah, don't you dare.
Don't you dare. Only I can do that. And we may have a knockout drag out. But by God, if anybody else wants to have a knockout drag out, then we got a problem. And that, Leo, he cares about us, but they all care about each other despite their differences and, and quirks. And then, Raph gets better and then there's the training montage and
what's a guy gotta do to get some food around here? Food. He wants some food. Bring some food. It's gonna be okay, Raph.
It's gonna be okay. All right, all right.
Yeah, all right, Leo. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like groggier and all hell. He's like, man.
Yeah. And again, just going back to the puppetry, you felt like these guys were real.
Well, they did
You know,
real good.
it's just a shame because if and because it is so bad, I can't even remember the last time I've watched the third one. But when you watch that third one, and they've obviously changed companies and the puppetry. Oh gosh. Blech. It's bad. It is so bad. But yeah.
The only redeeming factor that I can think of the third movie is they brought back Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Even if it was for him to babysit feudal time travelers.
Feudal time travelers. It's a bit of a waste, really.
Yeah.
Poor guy must not have had anything else to do at the time for jobs.
He was probably desperate for money or something. I don't know. Who was he? Who was that actor? What's he done? Let's take a look see.
Oh, yeah, it's and I'm probably butchering this. Elias Codius. Oh
yeah.
gosh. I'm sorry. I'm Southern. I can't pronounce shit.
That might be Eli.
Yeah, Elias Cody. I'm sorry. And should you ever come across this screen, I apologize, sir.
Right. We also apologize about how desperate you were to take that role in Ninja Turtles 3. I'm pretty sure, though, you might be kicking yourself, so that's okay. He's been in quite a bit, though, so it's not like he's for work.
Yeah, he stayed active throughout the years. But yeah, to come back for Turtles 3, I'm so sorry.
Right? I mean, some kind of wonderful, the prophecy, fallen, collateral damage, shooter, Zodiac, the curious case of Benjamin Button. He was in it. So I don't think he was lacking.
No.
Last project he was in was 2017 called My Days of Mercy.
Okay.
However, he has been doing television. 2021, he plays Tom True in a TV show called Goliath.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the Goliath one. So, but yeah, they go to the farm. They have all these great moments. The Donnie and him and Casey working on the truck. They're going through the alphabet with name insults.
Name calling.
Gack breath.
What letter are we on again?
Hose brain.
I know they started. I know they were in the C's at the very least when they started because he called him. Casey called Donnie Chrome Dome.
Yeah. Let's see here. I've got
the D name escapes me, but I mean that in itself is just.
Let's see. According to IMDb, let's see. No way, Atomic Mouth. Gilligan was her main man. They'd be married and have 6 kids by now. Then Casey. Gilligan was a geek. Barfaroni. Donatello. You're the geek. Camel breath.
There we go.
Casey Jones. Dome head.
Donatello.
Elf lips. Casey. Okay, let's see if this transplant worked. Fungoid. Donatello. Here it goes. What are we on? G. Here it goes. Gack face.
Yeah.
I'm ready, hose brain.
So yeah. I mean, that in itself, I think, and it seems so simplistic, but that in itself, I think, was good writing.
It is. Again, it's just, I don't know. It's just Hollywood doesn't try anymore, and I'm getting colder and colder to modern Hollywood because of this stuff. Because I don't go back. I don't go back to scenes like this with any modern movies. As much as I loved, the first 3 phases of Marvel. As fun as that was, and a lot of other movies, it's I don't know, it's just you've just got this assembly line, mass produced. Even when it's good, it's still not holding a candle. Because I just don't recollect scenes like this, and I don't know. Maybe again, I go back to maybe it was because I'm not a kid anymore,
Right.
and most of the time I can only watch something once, and then I might catch it later, a few months down the road. But yeah, I go back to these scenes, and and then so they're all better. They go to training, and they're prepping to go back to the city. And then they good grief. Let's block that user again. There we go. I'm gonna have to look into. We're getting porn spam in the chat. I'm blocking it immediately.
We would like to stay in operation. Please.
I'll have to
take your dick flicks elsewhere.
I'll have to see if there's a better way to like restrict that. But let's see here. I'm attempting to nuke this stuff. Yeah, message deleted. Yeah, I mean, I'm on it, so it's a learning curve. I'm not used to doing this stuff.
I mean, heavens to mercy. There's enough people out there that are into porn as it is. You don't have to advertise for it.
I mean, we've had the internet for a while now. I don't. If somebody wants it, they know where to go find it.
We know that the internet is really, really great for porn. You have a fast connection, so you don't have to wait for porn.
So anyway, yeah, the training montage and then the fire scene, and I'll be honest, I tear up at this scene.
Splinter appearing in the fire.
Yeah, Splinter in the fire. Man, I just what a powerful scene. And I don't know. And as you dive deeper into the 2012 series, you will find that this Splinter is very close to the 1990s movie Splinter, as far as the wisdom and the fatherly advice, and yeah, it just
yeah.
You've probably already seen it 4 episodes in, but
I have. It's like that the one instance where Leonardo's talking about how one of their encounters wasn't a fair fight, and Splinter's like, a fair fight? What is a fair fight? He surprises Leonardo by like knocking him down real quick and putting his walking stick over his neck, and it's like, was that fair? No. Did I win? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find, and that's it's that fatherly, that bond, and yeah. Thanks for tuning in for a little bit, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, have a good Father's Day too, man. Shout out to David. But yeah, it's that fatherly bond. That again, it's just one of those little things that they get right with this movie. And like I said, I'll admit it, I tear up almost every time with that scene, with that conversation. And then they go back to New York, and they've got their game plan.
Well, the one, a real defining spine tingling scene for me actually also occurs right after that too, where they walk up to April and Casey, and it has the 4 of them standing there in a line, and they're like, it's time.
Yeah. Break's over.
Yep.
Let's go kick some ass.
It's time.
Well, it's another one of those scenes where the soundtrack kicks in, and you're just like, oh yeah, we're about to go kick some butt.
Yep. I do like how they get back. They actually go back to their old home, the old sewer home. And lo and behold, who they find hiding out there?
Yep. Find Danny. He's holed up. Yeah.
He's holed up. All because, though, of Splinter.
Yeah.
Splinter, while Splinter's captive, Danny and Splinter have a nice little conversation. And this is, of course, these are scenes that are going back and forth while they're at the farm, back to Splinter's being captured, back to the farm, back to the Shredder's base, one of those deals. And Splinter has a nice little heart-to-heart with Danny. And Danny, I guess, sees the light. So comes back and they find him holed up in the old hole.
lair.
Yeah, the old lair. And like how they're talking about they're hungry, and Danny's like, "Well, I had some pizza here a few days ago." And
what pizza? Yeah.
So, well, do you like penicillin on your pizza?
Yeah. So yeah, that leads into the final showdown. The foot invade, and of course they're all united now, and that's the thing I think this movie hits well, as well as some of the later series. When the turtles are united, there's no stopping them.
There's no stopping them.
And that's
the machine.
Yeah. When they are united, they present that front.
A well-oiled, mean green fighting machine.
lean green fighting machine. But yeah, so they proceed to whip the foot plumb up to the streets. They get to the roof, and where they finally encounter the Shredder, and then that's when we get the like I said, one of the, in my mind, one of the better representations of Shredder over the years. I just loved his voice, how sinister he was.
Yeah.
And then he whips all four turtles.
Now you face the Shredder. The Shredder. To be all that hard work for making coleslaw.
And they're still snarky, in one-liners, and then they realize,
At what point did we lose control here?
And then we end up with Splinter comes up, catches the Chucks, because they toss the weapons,
Yeah.
And then like I said, I guess it's debatable. Was it Shredder's rage, and like I said, it's not unheard of throughout various series. He holds on to that rage. It is his weakness. And like I said, you'll see it in the 2012 series. He just gets blinded, and suddenly he's not this awesome warrior, and he does a really stupid move trying to get Splinter. Like I said, I don't know. I'm gonna go with it. He's blinded by that rage.
Yeah.
And Splinter does the quick chucks, and tosses him off the roof, and then whoops. I always love that. Just for good measure, hey, Casey's going to make sure he gets squashed.
Right. But of course, as we find out, he lives. Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. He makes a little comeback, though he's nowhere near what he was.
And I'm going to go ahead onto this soapbox. As time has gone on, I have grown to dislike Turtles 2 more and more because of the holes in the armor on this one. It's the flaws. And as a kid, I ate it up. I enjoyed it. And even as a kid, I remember, going into leading up to the movie, the moms ranting and raving and hearing the rumors of, well, they cut back the weapons. They cut back the weapons because the moms couldn't handle it back then, which, good Lord, everything's off the table these days.
True.
I mean, seriously. And I didn't catch it then. I didn't. And now as I go back and watch it, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't recall any time they used their weapons.
They didn't. Turtles 2, they even the overall shading of the movie itself, the first Turtles movie was darker, not just in its mood and its theme, but you could actually see it in its colors and its presentation and its backgrounds.
The palette, I guess, as
Yeah,
Hollywood
the
calls it.
palette.
I'm not a big filmmaker guy. I wish
Whatever
I
you
was,
call
but I think the term is palette, the color palette that they use
we'll go with that.
for the
And
movie. Yeah.
you could just tell in that one. And then when Turtles 2 come out, the color palette got brighter.
Yeah.
It was more lighter. It wasn't dark.
We then shifted to the cartoon.
Right.
Because the Shredder was
Technicolor.
Because the Shredder was now goofier.
Yes.
I mean, not quite cartoon goofy, but he was not as sinister as he was in the first one.
It was not.
I mean, and then
right-hand man was more sinister than he was in the second one.
And then Toka and Razar.
Another point of contention. Even as a kid, that was a point of contention.
It pissed me off.
We didn't want Toka and Razar.
I want Bebop and Rocksteady.
Exactly, Bebop and Rocksteady. And I guess I have to give credit to Michael Bay on that one. He actually brought in Bebop and Rocksteady.
That is one of the few redeeming things I can give that man for the second Turtles movie he did.
So he did,
and he actually did him well. I thought, for everything else I dislike about his run with the Turtles, I did really enjoy his Bebop and Rocksteady. But
and a tangent, and I guess this could be something we could save for a little bit later down the road. I think one of Michael Bay's problems is he's kind of let a little bit of success go to his head, and it made him lose touch on what people actually want and look for. Because that first Transformers movie was just like...
I enjoyed the first Transformers movie, yeah.
But then as it went,
my gosh.
It just got worse and worse. And then he pulled that stunt with Ninja Turtles. At first, he wanted them to make them giant space turtle aliens.
Yeah, I remember the original rumors around that, and it's just like, what?
What are you doing?
Are you even paying attention to this? Yeah. But I think the same could be said for most of Hollywood right now. And I guess while we're on this tangent, I'm not looking forward to the new Turtle stuff coming out. The stuff from Seth Rogen. It's an immediate red flag for me. Anytime I hear, whenever they have an announcement for a new project, and whoever's taking the helm, and we'll use Seth Rogen in this case. I'm such a big Turtles fan. I'm a big fan of the series and the franchise, and I just love Turtles. And as soon as I hear that, I'm just like, you've not watched a single damn thing. You don't know anything about it. Because every other time prior, and I don't know, maybe Seth Rogen will prove me wrong. I welcome him to prove me wrong. I wish he does. But every time I've heard that similar spill, we end up with a product where it's obvious they didn't pay attention.
They're out of touch.
And they just want to make what they want to make. They're just latching onto an existing property. They didn't put any effort into it. They didn't make the property. They've done no homework. It's just an easy cash grab for them because, hey, I got enough money to latch my hooks into this property and release something for it. But I'm going to do my own spin on it. I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't give a damn. I'm not looking forward to Seth Rogen's. I won't say I'm not looking forward to it. I just don't have any confidence in it.
I really feel like the thing is a lot of people think that they say things like, I'm a big Turtles fan and I'm a big fan of XYZ, and it's to maybe put people at ease about them taking the helm of whatever project it is.
It's a hook, yeah, to try and
but to me, that to me is actually also a way of saying my brain just shut off. It's a way of saying that I really don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah. They have no idea. They have no idea about the property and what it means to people, you know.
I have to prove myself to you and prove that I know what it is and talk about that I
and
know
that it's okay that I'm doing this property, this franchise. It's the Turtles are sacred to me. Like several other key franchises. Having grown up with it, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't care for the Michael Bay version. I didn't care for the cartoon that came after the 2012 series, The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The artwork, the art design for it, and I get sometimes, yeah, you got to go a little bit of a different route. It just didn't hook me. It didn't hook me at all and especially compared to how much I love the 2012 series. But yeah, to read the stuff from Seth Rogen, it's the same talking points that Hollywood uses for so many other franchises when they hand it over to someone else. That go do your own thing. I don't care what you do. Just don't touch these franchises because you've obviously not done your homework. You obviously don't care. You're obviously not going to listen to fans. And I don't know. I've just seen it enough. I like I said, I welcome Seth Rogen to prove me wrong. I don't see it happening because experience tells a very different story.
We hope it happens. we want it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I want a good product that respects the property, respects the franchise, respects the characters, and I don't mind little spins on things, but there's core concepts that I think need to remain with any franchise. Whether you're talking about Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Ghostbusters, Star Trek, there's core things that I think need to stay to honor the franchise, and you just be mindful of the fans, be mindful of who's kept your property up for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, however long, just be mindful of that and don't shit on them.
It's not Hollywood that's kept it alive. It's not the people who own it that's kept it alive. It's the fans that keep these things alive.
Yeah,
without a fan base and without people willing to drop money on this stuff, you don't.
That's why I've got like almost an entire section of one of my displays back there is Ninja Turtles. I mean, I've been spending the money on it. Don't piss me off because I will walk away. And I have done that with other franchises. So yeah, like I said, I just don't have much faith in the Seth Rogen one. Like I said, I know we've gotten away from the movie itself, and I know we were heading this way anyway. We were basically done with the movie anyway. We were at the very end, but we were heading this direction anyway, talking, Turtles and where it's gone. So, yeah, I don't know. And especially after wrapping up the 2012 series, and I'm glad you're watching it now. And maybe we'll do an episode or a couple episodes on it once you finish. But yeah, I'm really glad you're watching it because I loved the 2012 series. It was a lot of fun. The writing was. Go ahead.
I'm liking what I see so far. I'm only up for like 4 episodes in, but I do like what I'm seeing so far. The interactions that we talked about, between the characters in the movie, it's there in this show. They just have their own quirks, their own relationships with one another, and the characterizations are there. They stay true to the characters. So I'm liking what's going on so far.
Yeah. It's like I said, I hate that I missed it in the original run. And I had to catch it after it was all done. And like we talked about before we went live, I wrote it off because of the CGI. I just didn't. I didn't give it much credit, and I should have known better. I mean, I've watched new stuff. I've watched really old animation. Mobile Suit Gundam, for example, the original Mobile Suit Gundam. That animation has not aged well, but it's still an amazing story.
So grainy.
Yeah, and I know better. It was a mistake. My bad. I did it. I made the mistake. But yeah, I wrote it off because of the CGI for whatever reason at the time, and yeah, and going back, the 2012 Turtles is I love that series. I watched most of the early 2000s one. It was really dark. It got pretty rough. But it didn't go into as much of the other Turtles aspects as I really enjoy. And I think that's why I don't like it as much. If I were to rank them, doesn't rank as high for me. To be honest, I almost can't go back to watch. Frick! I can't. Why can't I talk? It's hard to go back to the original '90s cartoon now, because as I go back and I have watched it, it is so silly compared to all these other more mature versions of the Turtles, even versions that are for kids still. It's so silly. And I get why both the early 2000s and the 2012 series both have episodic runs that make fun of the 90s cartoon. I get it. I get it now. I can't go back and watch it. It's hard. And as much as there's this part of me I still pocket away, love that. And that's a big reason why I love Shredder's Revenge. Is all the tributes and nods to that cartoon in the Shredder's Revenge game. It's hard to go back to that 90s cartoon.
The art style for Shredder's Revenge as a game is very reminiscent of the Ninja Turtles arcade, very reminiscent of the cartoon, reminiscent of the action figures that they put out at the time, and Turtles 4, Turtles in Time for the SNES, because, well, that's the machine that was powerful enough to graphically display the arcade type graphics. So, I mean, on the NES, Turtles 2, the arcade, Turtles 3, Manhattan Project was great games, but you could tell they were on NES. But Shredder's Revenge, that overall art style in and of itself is, oh my gosh, fantastic. But more on that later down the road.
Yeah. Episode 4. We are planning to dive, because again, we're trying to do an alternating theme. We're gonna do movie, video game. So the next episode we are going to talk about the NES Ninja Turtles. And we'll dive more into Shredder's Revenge, I think, with that one. But yeah.
Such a difficult game, the original NES Turtles.
Yeah. And really, if you look at that one was based on the comics. That was another product of before everything shifted to the original cartoon.
I mean, even the cover art for the cartridge and the box itself, it has the 4 turtles, but they're not in their what we today consider their characteristic blue, red, orange, and purple bandana and pads. They're all in red bandanas.
Yeah.
And the only way you can tell who is who is because of the weapons.
Their weapons. Yeah.
They don't have an L or an R or an M or a D on their little belt buckles. It all comes down to what are they holding. That's how you know who they are.
Yeah, and it's funny, until years later, for whatever reason, I just never made. It just didn't jump out at me that they were all wearing these red bandanas. I had no idea back then. It was just like, it's the Turtles, man. It's a Turtles game. I got to play it. And that was, at that age, again, we were that prime age for Turtles when it hit. I mean, it was just perfect timing for us. I mean, we were all in on the craze. I don't know. There's so many franchises from that time, but Turtles is definitely.
It was one of the biggest.
It is one of the biggest. It's hard to rank because I love all my 80s cartoons. I mean, we grew up at just the perfect time for hopping between Transformers and G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe and the real Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters movie and the Ninja Turtles and that's so much. What just made so much of our childhood fun.
Yep.
Was these franchises that weren't, they weren't too heavy with garbage, and they were just fun. I mean, they made an awesome childhood. And to wrap up the original, the movie itself, it was. I walked out of that theater. I couldn't have been happier.
Oh, we knew immediately that once this came out on VHS, we needed it.
Yeah. And in fact, it's one of the VHS tapes in my YouTube channel cover art. I mean, I've still got my VHS. It's, and I parted ways with a lot of VHS, because I looked at what I had on digital or Blu-ray or whatever, media. And back then, in some cases, your only resort was when they brought it on TV. You recorded it on the VCR, and you wore out that version of it.
I can honestly say though that every VHS movie I've ever owned, I still have it.
I've got some. There were some I did go ahead and part ways with just for space. But no, there was a few precious ones that I kept out of nostalgia. Turtles definitely being one of them.
Yep.
I've still got my Star Wars trilogy that before the special edition, when they made a big deal about re-releasing them on VHS, the THX, versions.
Are you talking to the black and silver box?
Mm-mm. Now this is one that had
the original artwork.
It wasn't the original artwork. These came out maybe a year or so before the special editions in the gold box VHS. You're drawing a blank.
It was primarily a black box, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got that. And I've also got Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, not part of a set, but it's the original poster art that's on the boxes.
Hang on one second. I am pulling it up right now. If I can get the... Let's see here. Let me go back one more. Hang on. Let's see here. Nope. All right. I am going to share. Oh, I want to break it. All right, there you go. Should be on that one. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, so I've got that.
Okay.
But I also have the box arts from before that.
Okay.
For Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I was not able to get A New Hope.
Oh, okay. But yeah. So, there's a few special ones that I've kept. I don't even think I kept my special edition versions of VHS when they came out, and we were all excited at that time. you know, and then we realized that suddenly Han didn't shoot first, and we're all like, "What the hell?
What?
What?
What is this?
What is this? What is this bullshit?" I see the silver version you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Looking through these. But yeah,
let me
I still got my.
send you this. My mouse would work with me here.
Mice don't do that.
Of course not. Now I know that's it's on Etsy, but that's the art that I've got.
Okay. No, I know. Yeah, that's the original.
Yeah. So I've got Empire and Return of that.
But never could track down A New Hope.
Never could track down New Hope.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know that. I know what you're talking about there. That's actually some of the artwork on my on the wall over here to the other side of me, next to my Star Wars arcade from Arcade 1-Up. Yeah. For Return of the Jedi. That original artwork. But yeah, now I kept some of that around. There's a few VHS that are just too special. I never actually had Ghostbusters 1 or 2 on VHS official. It was always the recording.
Are you sure about that?
Ghostbusters 2 definitely. But
I know you got Ghostbusters 1.
I don't remember that VHS cover. That's the only thing. I don't remember I don't remember seeing that VHS cover in my collection.
The only reason I know that you got that for sure is because our families, of course, were always gathered at your house for Christmas, for our Christmas gatherings. And I remember that on that one particular Christmas, you and I both got VHS movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they both came from our Aunt Candy. You opened it up and it was Ghostbusters. Mine, I opened it up and it was Short Circuit.
Okay. I may have to look at Mom's and see if it's up in the old, because we pulled a lot of the VHSs. I know Ghostbusters 2 was off of TV back then. But I'm drawing a blank on remembering the cover for the original Ghostbusters, because I know what that cover looks like.
Wasn't it? It was just a black box with the Ghostbusters symbol on the front.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to go back and try and find that. Double check on that.
So yeah, I remember that very.
I don't even remember that.
Some of the perks of being a little older, I guess.
Just having a few years on me, yeah. So yeah, it's pretty well the end of Turtles. Like I said, obviously we've talked a little bit about issues that would come later. Like I said, I almost can't watch Turtles 2. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
But look, because there's scenes like that. I love little moments like that with Turtles 2. They still get some of that right. Yeah, it's like, as a kid, I really loved Turtles 2 because mutants and all this extra stuff that I was used to from the cartoon. But it is not one that has aged quite as well as the original Turtles movie for me. The original Turtles is aged like a fine wine for me. And I appreciate it more and more as I go on. And I feel like it's just aged really well.
Right. The second one has aged probably like a block of cheese. And the third one aged like a loaf of bread.
we don't even talk about that third. Oh God, that third one. I don't even have a morbid curiosity to go rewatch that just to try and see if it's what I remember.
A shit
it's
show.
not there. Yeah, it's a shit show.
Yeah.
By
the time that third movie come around, they're just looking to try and squeeze more cash out of it. That's all they're looking to do.
And with the third one, I remember having this excitement because, we going into it, we knew there was a time travel aspect. And my mind went to Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. I was sitting there thinking, oh, this will be cool.
Wah, wah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was bad. And then the whole Turtles in Time thing and its variations, that'll be a fun one day. But but yeah, that was my expectation going into the third one, was it had been set because of Turtles in Time. And I knew the Turtles had time traveled, and it's like, well, okay, this would be cool. No, it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm. It was well beyond not cool. Well beyond it.
Yeah. So
something we really need to start getting better at doing at the very beginning of these things, though, is, of course, always remember, like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say we'll go ahead and we'll start to wrap this one up. This one is going to be our longest one yet, and
so far they keep getting longer. We're sorry, but we?
But I don't. No, not really, because hopefully we're providing some decent listening as we talk about our memories and our thoughts on these franchises, these movies, these video games. I mean, heck, there's other channels and other groups that go way longer.
True.
Way longer than us. So,
there's channels where you watch somebody play a video game and talk about playing the video game for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So
yeah.
Maybe one of these days we'll have one of those. We'll have a playthrough.
And here we were debating, saying, I don't know if we can carry this one. I don't know. we keep surprising ourselves.
We're going to run into a dry spell on one of these. We're just going to sit there in dead silence.
Well, the only dry spell we had in this one was because we were Googling some information to make sure we were accurate.
They're going to sit there and they're just going to hear the crickets.
So yeah, we barely got into Shredder's Revenge, but we'll go ahead and save that one for the video game one when we talk about that one next episode. And I may make a old college try at that one again. I used to be able to beat the original NES Turtle, almost blindfold.
I never got that good at it. I beat it the one time, and I said, "That's it. I'm done.
I'm out."
It's like Ghost and Goblins. I beat Ghost and Goblins, the original one, on NES. I beat it. I said, "That's it. I'm done."
You carved out a part of your soul for that one.
I did. It is missing. That and Double Dragon 3, the Rosetta Stones or Sacred Stones or whatever the stones. He's got stones. Whatever that thing was. Double Dragon 3 was, oh, God.
Yeah.
Man alive. There's some hard ones out there, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah. That'll be another day. So hey, yeah, no, good deal. We pretty well kept it to the movie, few tangents, or at least related to the movie for this one, which was the goal, and that's what we're going to continue to stick with. And yeah, like you said at the beginning, we really need to do the subscribe stuff at the beginning. But also I'm kind of relying on, hopefully, after the fact, watchers and viewers coming into this to build that audience, hopefully.
We need to do it here, but we're doing it here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's it with Turtles. My overall thoughts is it's, in the grand scheme of comic book movies, I don't feel like it gets enough credit. Compared to other franchises. and other series that come up. It's a great movie. It really is in my mind. It's respectful of the source material. It's very close to the source material.
Yep.
Everything about it. It's they couldn't make it today. They'd have to booger something else up. But I've always gone back to this one. And it's, like I said, it's aged like a fine wine as far as the whole package in my mind. It just gets better and better. And maybe some of that is seeing what Turtle movies have come after and seeing what Hollywood in general has done, with these franchises. That's like, yeah, there's no way they'd do what they did with that movie today.
No.
So,
it held up good. It was a good movie then. It's still a good movie now. If you haven't seen it, what the hell are you waiting for? It's a 1990 movie. It's over 30 years old. Come on, get with the program. Don't be like Donatello. Not be with it. Okay. Go watch it. I mean, we talked about a lot of spoilers and a lot of things that happened, but it's still worth it. It is still worth it.
At this point, I don't think spoiler warnings apply for
not
30-year-old movies.
30-plus-year-old movies. So
yeah.
Not at this point.
I'm doing the math here. 32-year-old movies.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm doing the math in my head. I can't math. I'm sorry.
I forgot math.
I'm terrible at it. It'd be a 32-year-old movie at this point. I think, again, if my math is right. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I'll never look. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it. I just hate to waste camera time going back to apologize and do a correction. I try and get it right the first time, but I'm not gonna.
We think it's right. We'll apologize now if it's not, so we don't have to do it later.
Yeah, there we go. A 32-year-old movie. It's I think that's about it for it. I was almost going to segue, but let's wrap it up. I was going to segue into the one that came out around 2007, 2008, the CGI one.
It's a direct sequel. There's actually 4 movies in that whole thing.
Yeah. I loved that like you could see the underlying it tied back to those, and it just didn't take off, and I wish it had, because I really liked that movie too.
It was a good one.
Mm-hmm. I was pleasantly surprised when we went to see it. My expectations were low, and then we went in. I'm like, man, this is actually all right. I feel like a Turtles guy again.
I mean, to come off of it being a direct sequel of Turtles 3, Turtles in Time, it was really good. Even though oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm trying to block another one. God bless.
How do they even do this?
I don't know. I'm doing block user. All right. Still learning StreamYard, but that'll be something I'm going to research, because I don't see that come up on other live feeds as people do them. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I think that'll do it. Had a lot of fun with this one. Again, we always manage to pleasantly surprise ourselves with how much we can drag a topic out and get into it and discuss it. So,
forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for a late pizza.
So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in. As he said, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and all that. So,
we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yep. Have a good one. Catch you next one.